What can we learn from the Bachman pajama drama? Let's get into it. By the way, I'm KJ Miller. I'm a founder, lecturer, and content creator. I love talking about all things business and pop culture. So if you love any of that, be sure to subscribe. And now, let's chat. Okay, so if you aren't familiar with Samantha and Cecily Bauchmann, please know I was not either until about 7 days ago when some of the drama surrounding their new pajama brand for the memes found its way onto my For You page. And I will also say at the top, I do not follow them, and I have heard tale that they are Trump supporters, which means I don't want to follow them. However, I do think there are things we can learn from some of the business missteps that they have taken, or at least missteps in my eyes. In their eyes, they might not be missteps, and they might not be missteps in your eyes either. But I think there are a few things that founders and business owners can learn, and that's what I want to chat about in this video. So first, the context. About 2 weeks ago, Samantha and Cecily Bauchmann launched their pajama brand for the memes. And there was a lot of uproar online because they were selling sets for $97. A lot of people felt like, that's a lot of money. $100 for a pajama set is a lot of money. And that was fueled even further because when people started looking at the site and looking at the construction of these pajama sets, there was a disconnect because the material seems to be primarily rayon, and you can buy rayon sets at Target and Shein and Amazon for something like $20 to $30 a set, sometimes even cheaper. So to be selling something that appeared to be similar at a much, much higher price point definitely caught people off guard. Then people started purchasing and posting reviews. I didn't see a ton of reviews, but one of the ones that I did see pointed out that when the product shipped to her, it actually was shipped in 2 different sizes. She ordered an XL, but she got shipped an extra large top, I think, and a 2XL pant. So that was one of the things that she noticed. She also called out that the material was a bit sheer, which again would then start to question the price point. And she also called out that there was no packing slip entered into the packaging. So she didn't really have a way to verify the order, or no contact information was sent if she wanted to get in touch. So those were some of the things she pointed out. And she ended the video by saying, I personally wouldn't spend this much on a set. And she actually didn't spend $97 because the brand lowered their price point, and we're going to get into this, lowered their price point to $75 amidst the backlash over the $97 price point. So she paid $75, yet and still felt like, no, this is not worth $75. So that's one of the reviews that I saw. I think similar reviews like that were posted. And just in general, I would say the launch has not gone according to plan, unless the plan was to have everybody jump online and shit on your pajamas. And I assume that was not the plan. So it hasn't gone quite according to plan. And I think there are a few things we can learn with regards to pricing and messaging. So let's talk about pricing first. How to price your product is one of the questions that all entrepreneurs struggle with, because at the end of the day, it's entirely up to you. The only gate you have to clear, or I should say ideally should clear, is you want to cover your costs, right? But between covering your cost and launching all the way up to a luxury or premium price point, there can be a whole lot of numbers in between. And so I often talk to entrepreneurs who are wondering, where should I price my product? Now, there are a lot of different ways to think about pricing, but one way that I think is most intuitive is to think about your competitors and to think about who is your target consumer currently shopping. So I'll give an example from Minted Cosmetics, my business. We had surveyed hundreds of women of color before we launched our brand, asking them about their makeup shopping habits. And one of the questions we asked was, what other brands are you buying from? Now, most of the women who answered the survey said that they actually shopped across several brands, some of which were lower price point, like the brands you might find in a Walgreens or a Rite Aid, some of which were higher price point, like a MAC or a NARS. And we knew that we wanted to be a more premium brand. We weren't looking to be a mass Dollar General type of brand. We were looking to be a more premium brand. And the premium brand that almost 90% of the women that we surveyed mentioned that they shopped at was MAC. So we said, okay, MAC is a premium brand that has high penetration among our target consumer. Let's use this as a benchmark. And eventually what we decided was we wanted to be in the same price family as MAC, but a little bit lower so that compared to MAC, we seemed like a little bit of a value. So for example, our nude lipstick that we launched with was $16.50, whereas MAC's lipsticks, at least at the time, it's been a while since I've gone and looked, but MAC's lipsticks pretty much were between $18 and $22. So we felt like we were in the same price family, but again, a little bit lower. And part of our thinking there was if we price it exactly the same as MAC, we don't want her thinking, oh, well, if I'm going to pay MAC prices, I should just buy MAC. Now, was that the exact right thinking? Maybe not. There are professors all over the country whose whole job it is to think about pricing. They might come to me and say, that's not how I would have done it. But, tens of millions of dollars in revenue later, I think I can say, we didn't do that bad, right? We didn't do that bad. And the other thing, that when we decided that we wanted to be a more premium price point, it wasn't just because we wanted the money. It was because we were building premium products. We were vegan, fully vegan, non-toxic, cruelty-free. All of our lipsticks were made in America. So there was a reason that we felt like our brand deserved a more premium price point, yet and still, we didn't go as premium as we could have. We weren't charging Christian Dior or Tom Ford prices, which can be upwards of $40, $50 a lipstick. That's not where we were trying to play because one, we knew that's not where our consumers were doing most of their shopping in that price range. And two, we didn't think that we'd be able to justify that price point, but we felt very confident that if you tried our lipsticks compared to a MAC, you would be just as impressed when you compared our lipstick to a MAC lipstick. And in fact, you might like it more because the shades we were creating were made with your melanin in mind. So we felt like we could really compete in that area. And we were also offering, like I said, vegan, non-toxic, cruelty-free ingredients, soft touch, beautiful luxe packaging, a custom shipper. There were a lot of things that helped us believe we could compete with MAC in that price family. Generally speaking, one of the reasons that I counsel entrepreneurs to think about their competitors and use their competitors as a benchmark when they are thinking about pricing is because this is an easier place to start. If you're launching a skincare line and you know that a large portion of your demographic shops Drunk Elephant, then you can start to use Drunk Elephant as a benchmark. And you can ask yourself, okay, the products that I'm making relative to a Drunk Elephant, do I deliver on the same level of ingredients? Do I deliver on the same, quality of packaging? Do I deliver on the same level of availability? If I can't, if I'm looking at that and saying, no, then maybe I got to go down a level. Maybe Drunk Elephant is a little too premium for me. Maybe I got to look at The Ordinary. Again, it's just, I think, a more intuitive way to start thinking about pricing because you can ask yourself, relative to this brand that has strong penetration with my target consumer, where do I sit? Where do I play? How do I measure up? If we think about this in context with the Bauchmans, they originally priced their pajamas at $97. So now I got to think about, okay, who else is in this $97 pajama range? And a brand that actually my podcast co-host brought up because we did speak about the Bachmans on our most recent bonus episode. A brand that she brought up was Skims. Now, I didn't know Skims was out here charging that much for pajamas because I've never purchased Skims pajamas. But Skims is charging apparently that much for pajamas. So if I'm sitting in their shoes knowing I'm going to price my pajamas similarly to Skims, then I'm going to ask myself, well, what is the ingredient quality of Skims? And what is the packaging experience for Skims? What is the customer service, return policy, and general customer service engagement like for Skims? Skims also has the benefit of being founded by a major mega celebrity who people might decide makes the product worth it a bit more. How do I measure up to that brand, and how does the quality of my pajamas measure up to that brand? And if I'm noticing there are a lot of differences between what I'm able to do and what Skims is able to do, that is probably a signal to me that I need to march my price point down, because consumers are going to look at that and say, is this worth a Skims? If I'm going to spend this much money, is it worth it for me to do it over here? Or should I just go to a brand I know and trust? Ultimately, it's my opinion that For the Mims did not give their consumers enough reason to justify the $97 price point, which is why they so quickly dropped it down over 20 whole dollars, because they realized the folks aren't buying it. The folks are not buying that my pajamas are worth this much money, which indicates they did not price this correctly and didn't do enough of the thought work behind their price point. Moving on to messaging. There were a number of times throughout this launch that I think the messaging could have been redone. Now, generally speaking, and maybe I'm old school for this, but generally speaking, my school of thought when it comes to messaging anything publicly about my brand and anything to customers about my brand, I always err on the side of you're right. If something is wrong, we did it wrong, we'll fix it. If there was something missing from your package, I will ship it to you ASAP. If you don't like your product, I exchange it and don't even make you ship the thing you didn't like back to me for orders $75 and under, right? Because my general ethos, this is, about messaging and service, but my general ethos is the customer is right. And it's my job as a brand that's trying to earn your loyalty to do everything that I can to please you and to keep you. That is my ethos. And I do think it comes through when you look at Minted's customer service policies. If you've ever emailed us and had any sort of issue with your package, we really do try to go out of our way to make it right. And we try to go out of our way to make sure our communication is always super kind, super respectful, done in a timely manner. These things to me are kind of no-brainers, but they actually must not be, because the number of times I read about or see on social media founders having interactions with customers or influencers that turn so rude blows my mind. And in this case in particular, a few mistakes were made that I think are easy to avoid. Number one, just starting with the packaging itself. I think it's a huge miss when you're a new brand not to take every opportunity you can to introduce yourself to your customer and to ingratiate yourself to your customer. And a really easy way to do that is by including a thank you card in every package. First of all, these inserts, if you're getting one that's postcard size, that can run you 5 cents per. Right? So it's not very expensive. And even if you're working with a third-party facility who's doing your pick pack, are they going to charge you more to pick that thank you card and put it in your package? Yes, but you're charging a premium price. So you should be able to afford the extra 10 cents they're going to charge you per package to put it in, right? And that's a really easy way to have another brand facing moment that can help ingratiate you to your customer. If you write a note, sounds like it's from the bottom of your heart. Thank you so much for giving our brand a try. We love being cozy and comfy with our family, and we hope these make you feel cozy and comfy with yours. Something like that. Or we started this journey. It was just an idea in our notebooks 2 years ago, and now it's come to life, and we're so excited you're on this journey with us. It's not rocket science, okay? But it does immediately, again, give your customer another touch point to feel excited about your brand. And the hope is that that excitement translates to loyalty. So that's number one. They didn't do that. I think that is a super easy thing for you to do. If you're launching a product brand, I would recommend you do it. Then we get to the messaging around dropping their price point. What I like is that they did change their price point when they heard the feedback that people really were struggling with this price point. I think it's always better to make a change than to, dig your heels in and say, nope, we're only going to do it this way. I love that they took some feedback. But then what they communicated was, we're not going to make a profit at this price point. And the mistake there is thinking that your customer's priority should be your profit. Now, I don't want any business that I'm supporting to go out of business, but your profit is not my priority. My priority is, does this item, this good, this service fulfill the need that I need it to fulfill? So you communicating to me about your profit does nothing for me. Frankly, that's on you to figure out. You're the business owner. you're the entrepreneur. That's why you're getting paid the big bucks. Or maybe in this case, you're not, but why hopefully one day you will be, right? So you don't make your issue my issue as a consumer. And this is another thing that I often see entrepreneurs get wrong. Don't ask your customers to care about what's going on with your business and your dollars and your cents. That's for you, the entrepreneur, to care about. Their job is to care about making sure that when that finished good gets sent to them, it fulfills a need. It solves a problem. It sparks joy. It does all of the things that it's supposed to do. And if you haven't set up your business in such a way that you are able to be profitable on a $75 rayon pajama set, then sweetheart, that is a much bigger problem. But again, it's not my problem. Okay? That's your problem. And so when it comes to messaging, again, you want the messaging to be focused on, here's what I am doing for you, the customer. Here's why I am so grateful to have you on this journey with me. That really and truly should be the core of the messaging when your brand is communicating to your customers. And then, of course, we have to talk about the fact that they canceled a creator's order because they heard on Reddit that the order was going to be negative. If you haven't, or that the review was going to be negative. If you haven't seen this, the creator's name is Gabby, I believe. You can go on TikTok and find the videos she made about having her For the Mims order canceled and getting a direct message from Samantha Bauchmann stating that she was going to cancel it because she read on Reddit that the review was going to be negative. Okay. Hopefully this goes without saying, but you cannot be out here prematurely canceling your customers' orders out of fear that the review may be negative. And the review may be negative. But first and foremost, this person can easily get around your little blockade, all right? They can have any person in their friend group or family group place an order under another name and still get the pajamas. If the reviews are going to be bad, they're going to be bad. If someone desperately wants to leave a negative review for your product, they're going to find a way to do it. So you can't start canceling things and then messaging that negative reviews are defamation and against the law, which is again what this Samantha person said. Now you're crashing out. Now you're crashing out on the internet over a product review. Sometimes you're going to get negative reviews. On my site, I have thousands of positive reviews, and I'm very proud of that. But I also have some negative reviews, okay? It's just, it goes with the game. It's part of the game. Not everybody is going to be happy, and what you should be focused on is taking that feedback and improving where you can, and recognizing that you're not going to be able to meet every single person's desires and demands, and letting that feedback roll off your back if it's not something that you can change or that you want to change. But sending out a message essentially stating that buying something with the intent of doing a negative review is against the law or immoral, it's actually neither of those things. It's actually neither of those things. People have the ability to spend their own money and do whatever they want and post whatever they want. It is neither against the law or particularly unethical. And in this particular case, she actually said what she wanted to do was give an honest review, not a negative review, an honest review. Anywho, those are just some of the things that I think we can learn from the pajama drama. Obviously, it's fun to participate and watch all the videos and kiki, but as founders, I do think there's some real lessons here for us to learn. So I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.